Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Guess who's back? Back again. Allie's back. Tell a friend. Hi, Turbo. That was really cringy. Turbo was trying to tell me to stop doing that. I know it has been a hot minute since I posted on this YouTube channel. I took a much needed break. I don't think I've posted on YouTube for a good year and a half. Like, it's been a hot minute, guys. I have not been active on the YouTube. Honestly, I have no excuse other than my life is just very busy and stressful. I'm a full-time student, full-time employee, and I just got too busy for YouTube, unfortunately. But that is not what this video is about. I will probably make a different video explaining where I've been and why I've been so busy and yada 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 if you're interested. If not, just ignore me. This video, though, is going to be about my trip with EF Ultimate Break. If you follow me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or TikTok, you've probably seen me post constantly about this company. And if you've never heard of EF Ultimate Break, you're probably like, what is she talking about? Like, who is this company? Why is she always posting about them? It's probably very annoying. I understand that. But I did ask you guys on my Instagram stories if you wanted to see a video about EF Ultimate Break and how my trip to Belize went with them that I was just at literally like a week ago today. Like, I have not been home very long. Does that snowman look weird? Should I turn him off? Hold on. Yeah, that looks much better. I just felt like it looked like a glowing goblin back there. It's not an Allie video if there's not like 80,000 different things that distract me. Back on track. Anyways, I asked you guys on my Instagram stories the other day if you wanted me to do a video about EF Ultimate Break, explain who the company is, why I travel with them, how my first trip went, because that was my first trip with the company. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. I am going to give you guys the rundown. I have my little notes written down here. I have like 3 pages worth of notes. She's an organized queen, let me tell you. I will try to leave timestamps if you want to skip ahead and just hear how my trip went. But right now I'm going to explain who EF is as a company, what they do, the service they provide, and why I love to travel with them. Let's get into it. So EF Ultimate Break is a travel group company for people 18 to 29 years old. I will say though, once you've traveled with them between 18 and 29, you can travel until you are 32 with them. They just don't advertise that because they don't want any new travelers over the age of 30. And I know that might seem a bit weird to some people. I was a little sketched out by it at first when I saw the age limit. But that's just because they have a bunch of sister companies that they work with. EF Go Ahead Tours is one of them, and that company is for all ages. So EF Ultimate Break is just for like the younger crowd, if that makes sense. Honestly, I'm a really big fan of the age range. I don't really want to travel with people that are a lot older than me as a 22-year-old woman. I don't want to travel with like 70, 80-year-old retirees, you know? Not that they wouldn't be like fun people, sure, but I want to travel with people who are similar in age to me, are going through similar life experiences, that would have the same like generational quirks, I guess, that I have. I don't know. I just don't want to, travel with a bunch of like 40-plus-year-olds for fun. I'd rather travel with people my age. No offense. So like I said, it is group travel for people 18 and 29, and they offer trips all around the world. Like literally anywhere you can think of, they probably have a trip for it. I believe they have over 70-ish trips. I don't want to say there's 75 because I think maybe there's like 73, but there's like over 70 different trips you can choose from. They have like a bajillion trips to Europe. They have quite a few trips over to like the Asia area, a couple trips down in Africa, quite a few in South America as well, and even some all the way to Australia, which is so cool. And if you're someone that's not comfortable traveling that far yet, I know for me, like, the thought of traveling 10 plus hours on a plane is a bit intimidating to do right away, especially if you have not traveled out of the US before. They do offer some trips in the US. They have a US National Parks tour and a trip to Hawaii. And I'm really hoping they do a few more US tours in the future, but as of right now, those are the only 2. Another big question a lot of you guys had was, what is included in the cost of an EF trip? And I totally understand that. You want to know what you're paying for, of course. I mean, I'm the same way. When I was researching tour group companies to travel with, I wanted to make sure I was getting the best bang for my buck. So a big reason why I chose to travel with EF over other tour companies for people my age was the fact that EF includes flights in their tours. I really don't have a ton of experience with flying. I'm starting to get a bit more experience with flying the more trips I take, But before I traveled with EF, I had only flown on a plane once before. I just personally wasn't very comfortable booking flights when I didn't really know what I was doing. So if you are someone that's new to traveling and you really don't even know where to start, EF is perfect for you for this reason. They book your flights, they book your hotels, they have a whole itinerary set up for you. Not only do they handle the flights, but they handle all transportations. All you have to do is show up to your local airport, and for the rest of your trip, EF covers you with every transportation you will need. If you choose a trip with multiple countries, they got you covered there. They will handle all your transportation, whether it's by bus, plane. EF will take care of your transportation to and from all the cities and countries you travel to with them. Typically, you have your own personal bus that your tour group takes, and you even have your own bus driver that takes you from place to place, so it's really handy to have them around. They make sure all your stuff on the bus stays safe. They're always right there when you're ready to go to your next location. The bus drivers are the unsung heroes of these tour groups, let me tell you. So yeah, all your transportation is handled through EF. All your hotel stays also handled through EF. They set up all the hotels. You even have your own tour director with you on the trip. So you have someone that is from the country or area you are staying that is very knowledgeable about the location that you are in, and they are right there with any questions or needs you might have. Our tour director was Keith Flowers. Loved him. He was seriously the best. Our group in particular was all girls, which it isn't always like that. Usually it's a good mixture of boys and girls, but this particular trip we were all girls, and I kind of liked it. I loved that it was an all girls trip, and I think Keith liked it too because he even said we're like the daughters he never had. Love him. He's so sweet. He was just always right there when we needed something. Any question we had, he had an answer for it. Like, he was just so knowledgeable and so helpful for the whole trip. It's so handy to have someone who just knows everything about the area you're staying in with you at all times. Also with EF, you typically get a Metro Pass for whatever area you're staying in. We didn't get one for Belize. I didn't really need one. I don't think any of the girls really needed one. We all kind of stayed together as a group. But I do know a lot of their tours over to Europe, they do give you a Metro Pass for, so you can explore the city by yourself if you want to, which is awesome. So along with everything else I just mentioned, you also do get your tickets to major attractions included in the price of your EF tour. Anything that you see on your itinerary that is like a stop you're going to, you know, your ticket is included in the cost of the trip. You don't have to pay any extra money to go see that attraction once you're there. They do also typically offer extra excursions on trips, so when you're filling out your booking information, they'll ask you if you want to do this extra excursion or this extra excursion, and they do cost a bit more, but again, that's all added into your total cost at the end, and they are optional, so if you don't want to do that and you'd rather have free time instead, you can totally do that. That's no problem. EF also includes quite a few meals in your trip. It depends how long your trip is. My trip in particular was only 6 days long, so we got like a free welcome dinner, a free farewell dinner, and daily breakfast, which was really nice because I didn't have to worry about paying for those meals. Like, it was kind of just a nice little bonus, you know? Traveling gets expensive, so it's really nice to have included meals in your cost. Before your trip, you also have access to a 24/7 trip consultant, which means if you have any questions or concerns about your trip, if something comes up and you have to cancel your trip or rearrange your plans, you can easily access your trip consultant any time of day or night, and they will answer you and help you out. Which again is just so nice. It's so nice, like, you don't have to worry about anything other than just traveling. You don't have to actually plan out the flights, the hotels, the accommodations. If something comes up, it's not all on you. EF will help you and try to figure out a solution to any issue that may come up before, during, or after your trip. I've also received questions about how does the payment options work. A lot of us don't have just thousands of dollars to, you know, just throw at a company right off the gate. Totally understandable. I have never paid in full for any of my EF trips, like, right away. Like, I definitely always do the payment plans, which again was a reason why I chose EF over other tour companies, because you get to make flexible payment plans, and that is awesome. I love being able to control when and how I spend my money and what works best for me and my budget. So usually all trips do require a $150 deposit. That does sometimes change. Sometimes they have specials, or if the trip is really soon, they might require more of a deposit. It just kind of depends, but for the most part, they do require a $150 deposit. And then from there, you can choose whether you want to make bi-weekly or monthly payments. You can choose the day when you want to start making your payments. You can basically customize it to do whatever you want. You can start paying whenever you like, and they just adjust the price of your bi-weekly or monthly payment based on when you start paying. So the later you start paying, the higher your payments might be by just a few dollars, but yeah, you basically have full control of when you can make your payments and how much. And there's no interest. It's not a loan. You're not taking a loan out. You don't have to get approved to do anything like that. You just pay the cost of your trip. You're not paying a monthly service fee or any kind of hidden fees. Like, you're paying for what you get, which again, no one wants to pay interest on a trip. You just want to pay for your trip and go. You don't want to pay interest for things like that. So We love it. And they don't check your credit score or anything like that either, so that's really cool. So those are the reasons why I personally chose EF Ultimate Break to travel with. I love the flexible payment options. I love they plan a whole trip for you. You just pick where you want to go, pay your money, and that's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. So stress-free. Once I got to Belize, all I paid for was food and then souvenirs if I wanted to. It was so nice to not worry about anything else. It was also really nice to not worry about how I was getting to the next place. I didn't have to pay for a taxi or a cab or take a train or a bus. We had our own personal driver, which was so awesome. All you have to do is just show up on time for the bus. That's it. And they're not gonna leave you behind. Like, you're just gonna make everyone else kind of irritated if you're late, but that's it. Also, a really big thing with me with traveling is that I want to travel and see the world, but I know being a young 22-year-old woman, it can be kind of dangerous to go on solo trips. Not that it's impossible, people do it all the time, but I wasn't comfortable going to a whole new country by myself with no one around me that could help me. So I love the safety that comes with an EF trip. You have all these people that are watching your back all the time. You have plenty of people to do fun stuff with, plenty of people to take your pictures. That was really handy. I love that I have my own like photographer basically anywhere I wanted. There was always someone to take my picture. And also, I know it seems crazy to think that you make friends for life on such a short trip, but honestly, the girls I met during my week in Belize were some of the funniest, best people I've met in my entire life, and we're still talking to this day. Like, we talk all the time in our WhatsApp group chat still. And I'm even traveling with some of them again to another location here in a few months, which I'm so excited about. I can't wait to do a video about that place. I already have plans to travel with those girls again. And not to suggest anything, but I have heard some people have met like the love of their life on an EF trip. Like, some people meet on EF tours and then they get married in the future, which is just insane to me. Like, to think you just booked a random trip and then you met the person you're gonna marry. Not that that happens to everyone, but it's happened quite a few times from what I've been told. Romance just hits you when you least expect it, you know? I feel like I've been talking for a very long time about EF and not my trip itself. So the last thing that people were asking about traveling in general is how COVID has affected traveling. So every country has their own guidelines when it comes to vaccination status, wearing a mask, and who can travel and can't travel at the current moment. And EF is very on top of the COVID situation, let me tell you. If your trip gets canceled due to a country changing their guidelines, they're not allowing visitors at the moment, or whatever the case may be, they will let you know right away. They will get you a voucher for you to book a different trip. They will tell you what trips are currently running. That way you can switch them if you want to. So yes, EF is on top of handling the COVID situation regarding where you can and cannot travel, which is also a nice thing to have because then you don't have to worry about rebooking all that yourself. They take care of it. You just tell them, I'll just wait for a future date when the country's open again, or I'll just go here instead. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I actually did have to do this. I was supposed to go to Germany in October for their Oktoberfest, but then Germany canceled their Oktoberfest due to COVID, which is understandable, so I had to rebook my trip. I am now going to Italy and the Greek islands in June, which I'm so excited for. I have to wait longer to go on this trip, but I chose that trip. I was like, you know what, let's just do this one instead. And all the money I had put towards my Germany trip, they just transferred over to the other trip. Like, it was super easy. It was done within like a minute. I don't want to talk too much about vaccines because I know a lot of people feel a certain way about them, but EF does have to follow what countries certain guidelines are. So a lot of their trips do require a vaccine right now, as a lot of countries are not letting unvaccinated people into their country, which understandable. So that is a thing right now with COVID. You pretty much have to be vaccinated to go anywhere, but that's just how it is right now. You know, things could change in the future. Same thing with masks. You have to follow whatever the country's guidelines say. For Belize, you have to wear a mask everywhere. Like, even just walking down the street, you have to have a mask on. They have a $250 fine if you're caught without a mask, which is a bit extreme, but EF can't control their guidelines. Like, that's the country's guidelines. You have to respect it and follow it. But like I said, every country is different, so it just depends where you're going. Okay, now let's talk about how my trip to Belize was, because I was so blown away by how much I loved this country. Honestly, when I was looking through all of EF's trips, I mean, they have trips to like Europe and places in Africa and Asia and all these cool locations. When I saw the Belize one, I was kind of like, oh, interesting choice. I mean, it's just not a country I personally ever thought to travel to, but obviously I ended up booking it and I went and I had the best time, and I cannot believe I ever thought about not going here. The weather, beautiful. Listen, I live in bumfuck nowhere, Illinois. It is cold like most of the year. I'm honestly surprised it hasn't started snowing yet here, but knock on wood, no snow yet. But because I live in the middle of nowhere with like no pretty mountains or oceans or lakes. Like I literally just see cornfields everywhere. When I travel, I like to go to pretty beach locations most of the time, or at least like a city or see some mountains, anything but cornfields. I'm not gonna go travel and see more cornfields. The weather in Belize was beautiful. It was warm and sunny the entire time, which it felt so weird to be in a warm and sunny place in December of all times a year. Like they had Christmas music and decorations out and it just felt wrong. It doesn't feel like Christmas unless there's snow. It could just be how I grew up, but it feels really backwards to have a warm Christmas. Like it just feels wrong. I will say it is a Central America country. Obviously it did rain on the trip, but it was interesting. It didn't rain like the entire day ever. I think it rained almost every single day, but never longer than like a few minutes at a time. Like it would kind of rain off and it didn't ruin the entire trip whatsoever. Honestly, we just did everything we were still gonna do, rain or not. The rain did not stop our good time, let me tell you. So yeah, the weather was really nice. The rain honestly wasn't that big of a damper. It didn't last very long. It wasn't very heavy. And I will say the hotels in Belize were freezing. Like they keep those hotel rooms iceberg cold. I woke up in the middle of the night one night and my room was 23 degrees. I was freezing my ass off. So if you do plan to go to Belize, keep in mind it's very hot there, but make sure you bring like some kind of blanket, hoodie, sweatpants, something to keep you warm at night because the hotels do get cold. We stayed at like 3 different hotels and every single one was freezing at night. Also, a rain jacket would be ideal because like I said, it does rain off and on. It's good to have handy. Let's talk about everything we did in Belize. We did a lot. This trip was only 6 days, but it was a very packed 6 days, but it didn't feel like it was too much. Like I never felt exhausted from doing all these activities. Honestly, it was really fun. I think I never got exhausted because like I wasn't the one in charge of going to place. Like we would do an activity, I would just get back on the bus and go to the next thing. You can't get too exhausted when you're not the one driving, you know? I have to read from this list because we did so much. The first full day, we went cave tubing, which oh my God, that was so cool. We don't have caves in Illinois. I don't have a lot of experience with caves, but it was so beautiful. And honestly, it was very relaxing. Like we were all on these little tubes and we were just floating down these caves. And we did have a tour guide there and he was kind of explaining the history of the caves. And it was just a really neat experience. I had never done anything like that before, so that was really cool. The next day we visited ancient Mayan ruins. That was really cool because I had just never seen anything like that. It was literally like my middle school textbook came to life. I got to see and experience things that honestly I never thought I would in my entire life. Never once did I think I would go see ancient Mayan ruins, and here we are. I've now seen them, cross it off the bucket list. And we did get to climb them, take pictures on them, all that fun stuff. There was this cute dog there. I don't know whose dog this was or if it was a stray, but it was really sweet and it climbed the ruins with us. It was so funny. Like that dog is more athletic than I will ever be. And then after we visited the Mayan ruins that day, we went canoeing. That was also really fun. I have learned that I am not good at canoeing. My group, there was like 3 of us girls that were on each canoe, and my group, we ran into everything. We got stuck several times, but it was still really fun. I just like being on a body of water. I think being on a body of water is so relaxing. Even if we did run into everything, we got turned around like a couple of times, like we were literally backwards quite a few times. We did our best. Was our best great? No, but we did our best. Also, something really cool about the Mayan ruins, when you go to the top of them, we were on the side that was in Belize, of course, but once you hiked to the top of the ruins, you could see Guatemala. You could just see the whole country right there. I could see houses in Guatemala over the Mayan ruins. That also blows my mind that you could be so close to another country that you could literally see it over the top of something. And then the next day was probably my favorite day of the whole trip. We went snorkeling on this boat, which personally, I wasn't a fan of snorkeling. That's just my personal opinion. We didn't really see anything that cool, which I know it changes every single time you go. You can't control what the animals in the ocean decide to do that day, but we just didn't see anything that cool. I just kind of didn't love snorkeling, if I'm being honest, but it was my first time going. I do think I would go snorkeling again. I just personally, that was not really that fun for me, but other people did have fun, so I think I'm just being a negative Nancy. But after we went snorkeling, we got to go to our own private island. It was called, oh, I'm gonna say it wrong. I'll leave it on screen. It was called like Moho Cay, I think was the name of the island. It was beautiful. Oh my God. I'll have to insert like pictures of everything I'm talking about, but you can go to my Instagram and see all the pictures I posted at that location. I did tag the location on Instagram. It was the most beautiful island I've ever been to. Honestly, I don't know if I've been to an island before that day, like a personalized private island, but it was so much fun. Like after we went snorkeling, we literally just took the boat up to the island. But we had so much fun. We had music, we played games, we had a barbecue, we got to just swim in the ocean, take pictures for the gram. That's always a priority. I think the private island was like everyone's favorite thing on the whole trip. Like that was definitely the highlight of the trip for all of us. Not to speak for everyone else, but I'm pretty sure we're all in the same boat. Private island, must do. EF also did try a new excursion with us. At least I think it was new. I don't think they do this with every Belize trip, but we did have a personal drum and dance lesson, which was kind of cool. It was really fun. It wasn't something I would have thought to do myself. And again, I think it was a new thing EF was trying, but that was really fun too. It was really cool to see just different cultures and different songs and dances they have. It was really interesting. It was also very, very obvious that I have no rhythm, which is something I already knew, but now everyone else that I was on the tour with knows as well. I cannot dance, cannot sing, I have no rhythm. The hotels we stayed at were honestly all so beautiful. We even stayed at a resort for 2 of the nights that we were there, and that resort, it was right on the ocean, it was on the southern coast, it was so beautiful. But even the other 2 hotels we stayed at that were on a resort were still very, very nice. All 3 hotels did have a pool, they all had places you could eat. I have been talking for almost 40 minutes. I'm almost done, I promise. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. Welcome back to Allie's channel where she does not shut up ever. Okay, last but not least, I want to talk about what you need to pack if you go on a trip to Belize or any Central America area. I think you would probably need all this stuff as well. The first thing I wrote down was plenty of swimsuits. Listen, my trip was 6 days long. I packed 10 swimsuits and I wore every single one. I probably could have even brought 1 or 2 more. Obviously, you can rewear swimsuits, but I don't like to put a wet swimsuit back on after I've worn it. I don't vibe with that. And the reason I think I went through so many swimsuits is because we did so much water-based activities and every hotel had a pool. So for example, the day we went cave tubing, I wore a swimsuit there, but then when we got back to the hotel that night, I changed into a different swimsuit for the pool because I just didn't want to wear the same one, especially when I was in like different water. I didn't want to bring that water back into the hotel pool. I don't know, I think I'm a bit dramatic with that one, but whatever. I would still recommend bringing plenty of swimsuits. I pretty much lived in my swimsuits most of the trip. Another thing I cannot stress enough is that activewear is the way to go for a trip like this, especially if you're doing a bunch of excursions where you're going to be outside. Wear some activewear. It's comfortable. You're going to need it if you're going to be hiking and doing all these other like vigorous activities. I just think activewear was the best thing to wear for anything other than the swimsuit activities. I did bring a couple nicer outfits. I only wore them to the welcome dinner and the farewell dinner. Besides that, I was in activewear pretty much the rest of the trip. Like I said before, you definitely need a raincoat if you're going to be in the Central America area or anywhere that like rains a ton, any rainforest area, you definitely want to bring a raincoat. I would also highly recommend bringing some water shoes with you. I have a pair of Tevas somewhere. Let me grab them. Okay. My Tevas. I wore these for pretty much every excursion we did. I wore them when we went cave tubing and that came in handy because the water, you know, it's not all nice sandy underneath that water. There is a lot of rocky terrain. So these kept my feet nice and protected. I honestly only bought these for this trip because I never needed like water hiking shoes before. So I'm glad I have them just in case I ever do a trip like this again, but I can't imagine I'm going to be using them too much where I live. But besides my Tevas, I really just wore those, my tennis shoes, and then like flip-flops. And that's kind of all I needed shoes-wise. You really don't need to bring a ton of different shoes. And I will tell you, your shoes will get dirty. I had to wash mine out in the hotel sink several times because, I mean, it's Central America. The roads there aren't like the roads here in the States. They're not all like pavement and really nicely built. There's a lot of dirt, gravel. And we did go through a rainforest with water and dirt and mud and all that stuff. So you really want to make sure you have a good pair of shoes that you can easily rinse off. This thing was a lifesaver on this trip. If you're going to any tropical destination where you're going to be near water, get a handy dandy little phone pouch. I got this one off Amazon. It's kind of dirty because of how much I used it during the trip. They do come in a 2-pack. One of the girls, I lent the other one to on the trip and she lost it. They're not very expensive. The 2-pack was $10 on Amazon. So if I do want more, I can order more. I still have this one, so I'm not like, it's whatever. But no, I cannot recommend using this enough. I got to use my phone pretty much everywhere because I had it in this little pouch thingy here. You put your phone in and then you clip it at the top and it keeps your phone nice and protected from the water. I used my phone when we were cave tubing, snorkeling in the canoe. I even got to use my phone in the pool. There was a swim up bar at the resort and we all kind of hung out there and were drinking one night, you know, as girls do on vacation. And it was just really nice that I had my phone with me. That way we could take pictures, record videos of us being silly and goofy and just having a great time. So it was really nice that I could use my phone at any given time. I would also recommend buying a little microfiber towel like this one. I got this one again off Amazon. I think it was like $11. And it's not very big, but it's big enough to where you can dry your entire body off pretty quickly with it. And it is microfiber, so it dries fairly quickly. You don't have to deal with a wet towel all day. It does come in this little pouch here, so it's really easy to bring like in a backpack or purse or anything like that. You don't have to have a giant, huge towel with you all the time. And trust me, between the rain and the water activities, I was using this towel a ton. I cannot stress this last thing enough. You need bug spray. Oh my God. Like I said, you're gonna be in Central America if you go on this trip. You're gonna need bug spray. It's a very tropical rainforest climate, not something I'm used to. So I was a little unprepared for all the bugs that were there. I don't want to say it like there was bugs everywhere, but just, you know, mosquitoes, things like that. I mean, you couldn't even see them, but they were there. We were pretty much constantly getting bit at, which, I mean, what do you expect? Like I said, you're in Central America. It is what it is. But bug spray came in handy quite a bit. Even with all the bug spray, I still have so many bug bites on my legs. So just be warned, bug spray is a definite must. So yeah, guys, that was my experience with EF Ultimate Break. I know this video is a bit long, but I have never talked about the company on my channel before, so I did want to give a brief overview of the company itself and then explain how my trip to Belize went with them. So kind of a 2-for-1, you know. I also just wanted to quickly say EF is not paying me to do this video. They don't pay me to do anything. I do have a discount code with them. If you want to check out their trips, I will have a link and discount code in the bio below. And my discount code does save you $100 off on your first trip. If you do want to use it, it means a lot to me. If you are thinking about booking a trip with them, if not, totally cool. But if you do want to book a trip with them and you want to save some money, I got you. Link and discount code down below. But again, they're not paying me. This is totally like free will of mine. I'm just making this video because I love the company and I love traveling with them. And I just feel like traveling is something everyone should do. Like, traveling is so much fun. You get to see the world and experience totally different things. So yeah, guys, that is all I have for today's video. Again, sorry it's so long. Right now I'm about an hour into this, so I can't even imagine how long it's gonna be when I edit it down. I thought this video would be like 20 minutes max. Here we are. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end if you are here. I love you guys so much. And if you're a travel bug like me, let me know down below the top 3 countries on your travel destination list. All right, guys, I love you so much, and I will see you next time. Why won't this turn off?